After the discovery of the New World, mapping its tribes, cities, and wealth becomes essential to the Spanish crown. Coming from poverty, you sign on to the next voyage hoping for land, gold, or at the very least a future larger than the one waiting for you back in Spain. After months at sea, you and nearly 200 other conquistadors finally drag your boats onto the white sands of the Yucatan Peninsula in what is now modern-day Mexico. The coastline is beautiful, the interior is not. You meet local tribes along the coast. Welcome ceremonies begin. Language is fragmented. Some remember a few Spanish words from earlier voyages, but most communication is symbolic. Gestures, exchanged gifts, cautious smiles. The next morning, the expedition moves inland. Led by local guides, you cut through jungle so dense it feels endless. Thick vines hang from enormous trees. Insects scream from the canopy overhead. The humidity wraps around your body like wet cloth. Your armor feels heavier with every mile. Breathing becomes difficult. For the first time since leaving Europe, you begin longing for home. And then, through the mist and vines, you see stone. Not a ruin the size of a house, something far larger. A staircase emerging from the earth, walls disappearing beneath tree roots, carved faces staring from moss-covered stone. At first it feels impossible, like you are hallucinating in the jungle heat. But as the vegetation clears, more structures emerge from the forest around you. Temples, plazas, reservoirs, roads, an entire city hidden beneath the trees. Ancient, the people traveling with you cannot fully explain who built it. Nearby Maya communities still remember fragments of older stories, older kingdoms, older cities swallowed by the jungle generations earlier. They say their ancestors built these places, but no one remembers how. What you see in the jungle that day stays with you for the rest of your life. It will take centuries before the world understands what lies hidden beneath these forests. And by the time the outside world finds them again, the jungle has already begun reclaiming everything. The Maya civilization emerged in a landscape that seemed almost hostile compared to other large-scale civilizations. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, they possessed no single massive river capable of sustaining millions of people. Much of the Yucatan Peninsula lacked permanent rivers entirely. Rainfall seeped quickly through porous limestone soil and disappeared underground, leaving entire regions dependent on seasonal rains and carefully engineered reservoirs. The rainforest brought its own challenges. Humidity, disease, thin tropical soils, unpredictable rainfall, dense vegetation constantly reclaiming cleared land, and yet, despite these obstacles, cities began rising here nearly 4,000 years ago. Long before Rome became an empire, Maya societies were already emerging from the forests of Mesoamerica. Over generations, the Maya reshaped the landscape around them. Hillsides became terraces, massive stepped layers carved into slopes to slow erosion, control water, and create more usable farmland. Reservoirs captured rainwater during wet seasons. Elevated stone roads known as sacbiob connected cities across difficult terrain. Civilization here required constant maintenance. At places like Tikal in modern Guatemala, towering pyramids rose above the rainforest canopy like mountains of stone. In present-day Mexico, Calakmul emerged as one of the great rival powers of the Maya world. Across Belize, Honduras, and the Yucatan Peninsula, dozens of kingdoms formed an interconnected network spread across Mesoamerica. At their height, nearly 15 million people may have lived across the Maya world. To sustain populations on that scale, the Maya transformed the rainforest itself into infrastructure. What once appeared to outsiders as untamed wilderness became a living network of roads, reservoirs, ports, marketplaces, and farms. Merchants carried obsidian blades, jade, cacao, textiles, pottery, feathers, and salt between cities. Markets filled with traders speaking different languages and dialects. Canoes moved along coastal trade routes connecting communities across Mesoamerica. The Maya world was never a single unified empire. It was a shifting landscape of rival kingdoms, alliances, marriages, betrayals, and wars. But for centuries, the system held together. The Maya did not conquer the rainforest. They learned to live within it. While trade and engineering sustained the Maya world, culture connected it. For the Maya, politics and religion were inseparable. Kings did not simply govern cities, they stood between humanity and the gods. Their authority depended not only on military victory or economic success, but on maintaining cosmic order itself. Rulers claimed sacred bloodlines tied to divine ancestors. Ceremonies reinforced the belief that kings could communicate with forces beyond the human world. The answers, many believed, were written in the stars, and so Maya cities became places where government, religion, astronomy, and daily life fused together. Temple pyramids dominated skylines, massive plazas gathered thousands of people. Stone monuments recorded dynasties, victories, rituals, and celestial events. At dawn, priests climbed temple staircases above crowded plazas, while smoke from incense drifted into the humid air below. Musicians performed during ceremonies. Nobles displayed wealth through jade ornaments and elaborate clothing. Crowds watched rulers reenact sacred rituals, believed to connect the kingdom itself to the cosmos. For the Maya, the universe was not distant. It was active, alive, intertwined with everyday life. This obsession with the heavens pushed Maya astronomers to track eclipses, solar cycles, and planetary movements with remarkable precision. Astronomy was not simply intellectual curiosity. It shaped civilization itself. Their calendar systems guided agriculture, religious ceremonies, political legitimacy, and the rhythms of daily life. Planting seasons, rituals, royal ceremonies, and declarations of war could all be tied to celestial movements above. Over generations, Maya astronomers calculated solar years, eclipses, and planetary cycles with astonishing precision. Some of their observations remain remarkably accurate, even by modern standards. To the Maya, the movement of planets and stars reflected the structure of reality itself, and deep within the rainforest, Maya astronomers mapped the heavens with astonishing precision, turning the stars themselves into tools of survival, religion, and power. By the height of the Classic period, between roughly 250 and 900 AD, the Maya world had become one of the most densely populated and interconnected regions in the ancient Americas. Across modern-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras, expanding cities were linked through trade, diplomacy, and competition. Agricultural systems supported millions of people, while goods, information, and cultural ideas moved across Mesoamerica. The Maya were not one unified empire. They were a network of independent kingdoms, more comparable to the rival city-states of ancient Greece than a single centralized nation. Cities like Tikal, Calakmul, Copan, and Palenque competed constantly for influence, trade routes, political alliances, and prestige. No single kingdom remained dominant for long. When one city grew too powerful, rival kingdoms often formed alliances to counterbalance it. Power shifted constantly across the Maya world, creating a system that was unstable but productive. For centuries, rivalry did not destroy the Maya system. It created a regional equilibrium that allowed the Maya to focus on science, art, engineering, and mathematics. The Maya developed one of the most sophisticated writing systems in the ancient Americas. Scribes recorded dynasties, wars, religious ceremonies, trade relationships, astronomical observations, and political alliances using carved glyphs painted onto monuments, walls, ceramics, and folding books known as codices. Entire generations of rulers could preserve their histories for the future. Knowledge no longer depended entirely on memory alone. It could be stored, studied, expanded. The same civilization that mapped the stars also engineered ways to sustain millions of people within one of the most difficult environments on Earth. The Maya carved giant steps into hillsides to slow erosion and create more farmland. Reservoir systems captured seasonal rainwater during dry months, raised agricultural fields, expanded food production in swampy regions. Elevated stone roads connected cities through dense rainforest, and for centuries the system worked. Trade flourished. Cities expanded, knowledge accumulated, Monuments rose above the forests. To those living within it, the Maya world may have appeared permanent, but civilizations often become most fragile at the height of their success, because the more interconnected a civilization becomes, the more vulnerable it also becomes when those systems begin to fail. The collapse of the Maya world was not a single catastrophe. It was a long, uneven unraveling that unfolded across generations. For decades, archaeologists searched for one final explanation: a plague, a foreign invasion, a sudden disaster. But the evidence increasingly points towards something more complicated. The Maya collapse appears to have emerged from overlapping crises, reinforcing one another over time. Climate records suggest severe droughts struck parts of the Maya region during critical periods of instability. In a civilization heavily dependent on rainfall and reservoirs, prolonged drought carried enormous consequences. Reservoirs shrank, harvests declined, food insecurity spread. And these environmental pressures arrived inside a political landscape already under strain. Wars between rival kingdoms intensified during the late Classic period. Monument inscriptions increasingly recorded conflict, captures, political upheaval, and shifting alliances. Trade systems weakened, political legitimacy fractured. Rulers struggled to maintain authority, and populations remained enormous. Millions of people still depended on agricultural systems growing more fragile with each passing generation. Deforestation may have worsened local environmental conditions in some regions. Soil exhaustion reduced productivity. Expanding urban populations demanded continuous extraction from surrounding landscapes. The Maya were confronting interconnected crises simultaneously. Environmental strain affected food production. Food shortages destabilized politics. Political instability disrupted trade. Trade disruption weakened cities further. Warfare displaced populations and damaged infrastructure. Each problem intensified the others, and perhaps most unsettling of all, the collapse did not happen everywhere at once. Some cities declined earlier. Others survived for centuries longer. Certain regions adapted better than others, even during periods of decline. Maya people continued farming, trading, worshipping, governing, and rebuilding. This was not the disappearance of a people. It was the fragmentation of a civilization's largest interconnected systems. And that distinction matters, because collapse rarely feels dramatic while it is happening. For many communities, it may have felt like generations of growing instability, where systems people once trusted slowly stopped functioning. Reservoirs no longer reliably filled. Trade routes became dangerous. Harvests became uncertain. Rulers appeared weaker with every passing decade. The world did not end in a single moment. It became harder and harder to hold together. Under these pressures, the Maya population began to decline. Populations gradually shifted northward into the Yucatan Peninsula. Smaller kingdoms survived, and trade continued along coastal routes and between surviving cities. But the vast interconnected Maya world that had once linked enormous urban centers across Mesoamerica was slowly dismantling. And over generations, cities that had once held tens of thousands of people slowly emptied into the surrounding forests. As population dispersed, memory itself began fragmenting. The people living near the ruins often knew their ancestors had built them, but many no longer remembered exactly when or why or how entire cities had once functioned beneath the rainforest canopy. By the time Spanish expeditions moved through the region, centuries later, enormous stone cities already stood abandoned beneath dense jungle. The conquistadors who stumbled upon these cities encountered descendants living among the remnants of a civilization already slipping into myth. Without massive populations maintaining roads, reservoirs, terraces, and ceremonial centers, the tropical environment moved quickly. Roots cracked stone foundations, moisture eroded monuments, trees rose through abandoned plazas. The jungle the Maya spent centuries reshaping slowly reclaimed the landscape once more. By the time Europeans moved through the forests of the Yucatan, centuries of Maya knowledge had already been lost to collapse and fragmentation. What remained would continue disappearing through conquest, disease, forced conversion, and colonial rule. Countless Maya codices were destroyed. An enormous amount of historical, scientific, and religious knowledge vanished forever. Then, centuries later, the silence slowly began to break. Throughout the 20th century, scholars painstakingly worked to decipher Maya glyphs. Major breakthroughs accelerated during the 1970s and 1980s, transforming silent monuments into readable historical records filled with rulers, dynasties, alliances, wars, rituals, and political rivalries. The ruins became human again. For centuries, the jungle swallowed entire cities so completely that the outside world forgot they existed, and much of the knowledge of how they were built was lost. The Maya world endured for nearly 2,000 years, and within only a few hundred years, much of it was reclaimed by the earth. Modern LiDAR scans continue revealing enormous hidden settlements beneath the jungles of Mexico and Central America, proving the Maya world was even larger and more interconnected than historians once imagined. And yet the Maya themselves never disappeared. Today, more than 9 million Maya people still live across the region, preserving languages, traditions, and communities across the same landscapes where their ancestors once built some of the greatest cities in the ancient Americas. And so, reflecting on the Maya story, we are left with a difficult question. If enough of the systems we depend on began failing at once, how much of our own civilization would survive, or one day, centuries from now? Would our cities too be reclaimed by the jungle?